right, Council, it's 10:30, good timing. We will call back to order, and we're at item 17.1, 2019 municipal budget estimates. And as part of that, I think what we should do is put the budget bylaw on the floor, on the table, whatever, and then we can deal with that, and then we will deal as well with the issue on the capital levy and the recent one-time funding from the provincial government of $595,703 or whatever it was. Okay, so who has the budget?
I do.
Okay, Deputy Mayor.
It's with pleasure that I put it on the floor for discussion. Moved by me and seconded by Councillor Jeffrey. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2019-025, being a bylaw to adopt the 2019 municipal budget estimates, be enacted and passed this 25th day of March 2019.
Marjorie, is there any high-level overview you'd like to give us before we discuss this? You can speed this along. Go ahead, Marjorie.
Through you, Your Worship. The point that we're sitting at right now is the, if I can see it, we have a tax increase for the average house of $25.07. We have left our capital levy at roughly $17 or $17 is where it is at. And right at the moment, that's about as high level as I can get.
Okay. Thank you, Marjorie. Council, questions, comments? Councilor McLeod.
I wonder if it would be prudent for us to entertain taking this budget to a revised strategic initiatives committee. I think that in light of new information and this very, very, very happy information that we have received from the province of the almost $600,000 in funding, if we ought not have a rethink of some of the numbers that we have and take the time that it requires to have a rethink and to have another look at these numbers.
Okay, I'm not going to look for a seconder right now. I think I'm going to go around the table. We've had a lot of discussion. I appreciate this is a tough topic, but my feeling is we're in a very good place, and I'm not really sure what kind of significant changes to make. So I'm going to start this end, and maybe what I'll do is just ask council if they are feeling the need for a deferral or prepared to go tonight. I think we should, and then I will look for a seconder, and we'll call. But first, I'm just going to canvass council. Councillor Jeffrey, starting with you.
Oh, okay. I totally disagree. I think we did a lot of work and got to a place where 1.12% wouldn't even be inflation, and the new monies we have coming in would, by all intents and purposes, go to capital reserves going forward, and the whole surplus and reserves discussion is another staff report we have coming in June or July. So I am quite satisfied with the negotiations that we did, especially with the freeze of the 0.75, knowing going forward that we're going to have the full discussion about our reserves, our surpluses, and where we refer them to. So I don't see using any of this money to simply reduce operating expenses. It's an investment in capital going forward in terms of having those funds available in reserve to set priorities and not work out of our priorities.
Okay, Councillor Doherty.
I'm a bit torn because I was quite satisfied with the budget. It's just with this, as Councillor McLeod alluded to, happy news, happy grant, that I just would have liked to explore what favorable impact we might have been able to make on the budget or on the capital levy. So the truth is, I would move with whatever the majority decides at this point. I'm okay to have another discussion. I'm okay to wait for a staff report.
Okay. Councillor Coney.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think our residents are deserving of another look at this. This letter speaks to me very much to the reorganization that our CAO has presented. And I think our residents are deserving of it. While this is a very positive, good news story, we heard a little bit of the opposite in the community this week. I believe one of our high schools is running what's essentially a food bank for food insecurity. We've had presentations on homelessness, and I think to a lot of our families, every single dollar matters. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. I would echo Councillor Jeffrey's comments. And I would also remind Council that we were only a week out from receiving additional funds in the millions between the difference of what was anticipated with the sale of 50% of the shares from Collis to what was actually realized. And we have given our staff direction as to going out for public consultation as it matters to not only those funds, but now the sale proceeds from the airport. We'll receive that report, and in good time, we'll make decisions moving forward with regards to those funds. And I would like to see the same thing happen with regards to a staff report specific to the monies that were announced last week. And in saying that, I fully support the budget that's been tabled tonight, and I'd like to see us vote one way or the other and move forward with the town's business.
Anything, Ms.
Yeah, I think, thank you, Your Worship. I think when we got the news of the extra money, I think that the opportunity has presented itself in a way that that we haven't seen previously, and 4 of us around this table have never seen. And so, if not now, for a discussion about exactly what to do with this money and the opportunity to provide a 0% tax increase, then what year would we ever do a 0% tax increase? This is manna from heaven that has dropped down as far as I'm concerned, and I don't think that we can be too careful with our taxpayers' dollars. $25 here, $25 there means nothing to some people, but it certainly means lots to some people. And when you get a gift, you shouldn't, I'm going to mix my metaphors here, you shouldn't look it in the mouth. You should, I don't think we can be too careful, and I don't think that we can take too much time to take our constituents' concerns into consideration.
Councillor Madigan.
I will be supporting the budget wholeheartedly.
Councillor Burley.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. I wish I could remember Deputy Mayor Hall's words on introducing this motion. I would use the same words to say that I would second Councillor McLeod's idea to revisit this. I think we can do better.
Councillor Hammond.
I'll just echo Councillor Comey's words as well.
Before I call, Marjorie, can you just take us through the implications of applying some of these monies in terms of next year's budget process?
Through you, Your Worship. This gift horse that we've received, the $597,000, if you were to apply that to, for instance, the realignment costs that we have shown there under the service enhancements, the realignment costs are $500,000. Those are continuing costs. They're not one time. The funding is one time. If you use it to buy down, and that's what the term treasurers, finance people do use, if you use those funds to buy down your current tax rate, when you start next year, the base budget is already 1.5 to almost 2 points higher than where it is now, and that would not include any inflation or any contract settlements or any of those items.
All right, so I will look now for a seconder for the deferral, and then we'll put it on the table. Councillor Berman, all in favor of the deferral? Opposed? That's defeated. All right. So then if there are specific concerns about the items, I'll look to council then. If there are questions or anyone wants to move changes, then we can do that and deal with that, and then we'll deal with the budget. Councillor McLeod.
Through you, Your Worship, to Treasurer Leonard, you just told us that the $500,000 that is put into the budget for the reorganization as proposed by CIO Amin is a forever recurring expense. And I'm rereading the notes that I took on the night that that was proposed, and he said at that time that it would be a one-time expense. Can you clarify, or can someone else clarify?
Through you, Your Worship, the intention with the realignment is that there are several new positions that will be created. I believe in this budget it's anticipated that perhaps it will be, looking at Melissa, I think it's four in this budget. So those will be continual. In terms of where people are going to sit, we may have to rent space. That's a continual, or until we find more space in this building and renovate it. There are one-time costs included in that, such as the cell phones, the computers, the desks, training items for those people, but in essence, the vast majority of it would be a continuous cost.
My recollection is the same, but we don't have a breakdown, unfortunately.
Okay, so I haven't lost my mind.
No, I have the same recollection.
Thank you for the clarification. Yeah. Thank you for the clarification.
All right, well, if there's no other comments or questions, then I'll call the vote on the budget, on the bylaw.
Excuse me, record.
Yeah, record vote.
Certainly, a record vote has been requested on the budget bylaw. All those in favor, please rise. Thank you. You may be seated. All those opposed, please rise. Thank you. You may be seated. Motion is carried.
Oh, yes, okay, so going back then, we have the two items that we carried forward then. First is the issue of the capital levy. So in the budget that we've just passed, it's 0.75%, but in the staff report that Councillor McLeod definitely caught, we had it at 2%. So we need to figure that out and then give instructions for to Treasury on what we would like to come back in terms of options for the grant money, the one-time funds from the province. So dealing first, I think, then with the staff report on the 2%, given that we just passed the budget, my impression would be we would just defeat that, wouldn't we? Or withdraw it? Can you do that? So would we then just withdraw it, Marjorie, and you can bring it back in a subsequent report?
Through you, Your Worship, that would be fine with me.
Okay, so I'll look maybe to the Deputy Mayor and Councillor Comey then to put that on the table, since you moved the initial.
Yes, I would be happy to.
So we're voting then on the motion to withdraw the, just right out of the report. It's a great report, Marjorie. I hate to take it away like that, but you can use it soon, I'm sure. All right, so I'll call the vote unless there's any questions. All right, all in favor? We're voting, sorry, just to withdraw the 2% capital levy. And you do. Oh, okay. Just, I was getting all excited. All right. Okay, so then that leaves the request for a staff report on the funds from the province. And Councillor Jeffrey, did you move that?
I did.
And do we have a seconder? Was it Deputy Mayor? Okay then, so if the any questions or comments on that? Marjorie, what would the timing be like on that?
Through you, Your Worship, I would have probably June. We're just in the midst of year end right now, so in order to do the assessments and all of those other things, it probably would be wise to bring it forward at the same time.
Okay, and that would be roughly the same time that the assessment growth report's coming back? Okay, so we can deal with those together. All right, any questions or comments, council? Seeing none, I'll call. Yeah, we've got a motion on the table. Good, I'm not losing it. All right, all in favor? That is carried unanimously. So, now we have something that's going in camera. Any notices of motion? County report, I think we've all radioed our thoughts to the deputy mayor that between now and dinner, it's not a good time. So if we can defer that, please. Any old or deferred business? Seeing none, any other business? Kathy, sorry, Councillor Jeffrey.
Oh, I closed my page. Mayor Saunderson, I won't go into a lot of great detail other than I always report on all the advocacy work I'm doing at FCM. And I wanted to speak to a few of the things that came up in the federal budget on the 19th, the highlight of which will be the one-time doubling of our gas tax money. So last year we received $612,000. This year we will receive $1.2 million now instead. And the government added $950 million to FCM's Green Municipal Funds, which is funds that can be accessed directly by municipalities for their priorities in their communities. And it was the largest investment ever in rural broadband with a commitment over 13 years between $2.7 million of direct federal government funding and leverage funding through private parties, taking it up to $6 billion, with a goal of all Canadians having access to broadband at a minimum of 50, I think it's megabytes per second, which allows to access the cloud. So that's a huge, and the definition of rural, I serve on the rural forum at FCM. A rural municipality is a municipality under 100,000, so we are considered rural. And then finally, you've heard me speak about the modernization of the federal and municipal relationships, and clearly through this budget, the federal government has recognized that municipalities are important and can solve national issues at the local level. And then FCM's work going forward now is, because we're nonpartisan and we're going into an election for 2019, will be to advocate with all parties on the minimum standard set in the 2019 budget, and then moving forward on what we can do better. So that's the great news, and I hope I said that fast.
Thank you. Any other business? Seeing none, do we have a motion to proceed in camera? Who would have that?
I do.
Oh, Deputy Mayor, yes.
Moved by me and seconded by Councillor Comey. Be it resolved, whereas the clerk hereby concurs the reasons for the in-camera session have been duly reviewed and considered by the matters, are authorized under the exception provisions to conduct a closed session in accordance with the Municipal Act prior to proceeding into closed session. Be it resolved that this council proceeds in camera in order to address a matter pertaining to personal matters of an identifiable individual, including town or local board employees. And tonight we're discussing committee applications.
Thank you very much. Council, any questions or comments before I call the vote? All in favor? That's carried unanimously. And then I think because of the hour, we should get a motion on the table to extend for 1 hour. Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Doherty. All in favor? That is carried. So we will now recess. There will be a Rise and Report tonight, and we will live stream that. But I can't tell you how soon that will be. So thank you very much for joining us tonight, and we will come back on with the end of council. Thank you.